Welcome to the City's Backyard YouTube channel debut. I'm Matt Zako, your host, along with our very first guest, John Porio, who's a media guy and he's also a musician. He's worked for ESPN for many years, Cablevision, and now is a media consultant and has his own band called Gold Dust, which he just recently formed for a good cause. John, welcome to the City's Backyard debut on YouTube. We appreciate you being a guest.
Thanks, Matt. Great to be here. Appreciate you having me, and honored to be the first guest on your show. It's awesome.
Yeah, so you're doing this concert coming up on the 24th at a barn in Easton, and it's for a good cause. Why don't you explain a little bit about how you came about trying to do this?
Yeah, sure. It actually came together in a really kind of a fun way. We had a bunch of guys and ladies, women who did some School of Rock shows. If you're familiar with School of Rock, they're actually part of the sponsorship of this event on the 24th. So we just decided, a bunch of us sort of aging, people who love music, and I've always played. I think you know that, maybe you didn't know that, but I've always played. And decided to get together and with some School of Rock shows. And after we did a couple of them, well, probably about 7 or 8 of us kind of decided let's pull something together and let's go and play whatever we're into and pick some songs. And let's start it off with doing it for a good cause. And one of the members of the band, Art Lasky, whose house is where we're doing the show, his barn is the one up in Easton that we're doing it. Beautiful, beautiful setting to rehearse and do a show out on the deck outside of his barn. So Art's good friends with Vince, who's the executive director for Homes for the Brave. So we decided that this would be an excellent cause for us to go and try to raise some money and use music for good. So we pulled together a band beginning of the year. I'd say first few rehearsals we were all masked and not quite vaccinated yet, and tried to kind of get a little positive out of the end of coming towards the end of COVID. So we started rehearsing, started putting some songs together, and we managed to find some dates that worked for us. So we decided this would be great.
Yeah, so this is coming up on the 24th, and it's from, I like the time that you guys chose, 4 to 9, which is perfect. It's not too late, early enough, but it goes into the early evening. And John, I did not know that you really were a musician, to be honest. I knew that your son and your kids were aspiring musicians and are actually very good, and they've participated with the School of Rock for many years. But honestly, I had no idea until I saw your post on Facebook, and I thought, what a great
Incognito.
idea. I was blown away. Yeah. So I reached out to you and I said, hey, I wanted to start my YouTube channel of the City's Backyard. We have a podcast that's been going strong on all platforms: Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And I figured, John, you would be the perfect I guess I could say guinea pig for the YouTube channel, because you're doing this thing for a good cause. I had to have some sort of, purpose of starting my very first episode, you could say, on YouTube. So I think down the road, in the next week or so, we should get some other members of your band, maybe, and your director friend from Homes for the Brave to kind of elaborate on a little bit more on this subject. Now, you had a very first concert that you did already. How did that go?
Yeah, so we did one. It was a little bit more friends and family up at the barn. We did it on Memorial Day weekend, which, if anybody recalls, was winter coming back to Connecticut. It was about 50 degrees and raining, and so unfortunately we couldn't do it outside, but we did it in the barn, and it was an impromptu, like, great setting. We got some video of it, and it went really well. We had a decent.
What kind of music do you play?
So it's classic rock. We go into some of the deep tracks. It's a few songs from the band, Fleetwood Mac. We've got a couple Dylan songs in there, Clapton. So stuff that you'll be familiar with, but maybe it's a little bit into the deeper tracks for some people. Tom Petty. It's great.
Nice.
It's fun. We've got a great singer. I sing a little bit. She sings a little bit, and each member of the band kind of has their moment in the sun.
That's great.
We try to focus on just fun stuff and things that people recognize and really get into. So we did the show.
Yeah, and especially our age group.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of call it dad rock. That seems to be what people identify with. So
not mom rock.
No, I think it's more dad rock. Actually, in fact, my wife Kim, who well,
right,
is half the songs that we play. She's like, oh, I don't really know that song, and I'm like, I've been listening to this song for 35 years. Little Feet, that kind of thing.
Well, that was the one thing I did know, John, was that you definitely had a diverse musical, background as far as your interests of different bands. So, I can only imagine how cool some of these songs are going to sound at the barn. Now, we'll do a further podcast in the next week or so, and people can search that on any platform. We'll be posting it on Facebook. But before I let you go, how do people, number one, donate if they want to get tickets to the show? Where do they go to make a donation? Because as you said, the concert is free, but donations are strongly encouraged. How do people do that? And also, what if it does rain? Is this concert still going to take place on the 24th in Easton at this barn? So how can people plan to come?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thanks for asking that. I think we probably do a rain date because I think we are hoping to probably have up to 100, 200 people come to this. I don't have a specific URL. I have a URL for donations, but it's quite long. I would just go to homesforthebrave, oneword.org. It'll talk about the show coming up, and I think that would be a good way for you to go in and find more information about it. It's a great organization. Read up a little bit more about it. They do incredible things for homeless veterans, both men and women. I believe they're the only establishment in Connecticut that does that for women. So they house, they train, get people get ready to get back into the world. So it's a wonderful organization.
That's awesome, John. Before I let you go, one final question: who came up with the name of the band Gold Dust? Love the name. Very cool.
I don't know. Somebody threw it out there. Hans Hansen, who is it was really the Dr. Frankenstein, who put all this stuff together, is probably the one who came up with the band. We started doing a number of Fleetwood Mac songs. In fact, we play Gold Dust Woman, and he said it, and we said, great. That being said, we've already set up some time to sit and talk about what happens after this show, including maybe changing the name of the band. But for now, it's Gold Dust. We have a great band. Cam's Art will join me next time. Maybe we'll get Vince to join us from Homes for the Brave as well for the podcast. So looking forward to that.
All right, John Porio from the band Gold Dust. And John, I do hope you guys keep the name. We look forward to having you back in the city's backyard, for the podcast, the audio version, which you can search on any platform: Pandora, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and Stitcher, all those platforms. So once again, thanks for being a guest today, John.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. It's fun.